One important thing to underscore is that branding is not simply creating a logo. It's intended to be a seamless system that builds on the community's identity, and it shows this through a unified graphic messaging system. So a logo only really becomes a brand through implementation. So brand extension, so things like logos for events and initiatives, digital marketing, social media, websites, environmental graphics, banners, and wayfinding, and merchandising. I mean, virtually everything can have a brand and showcase Clifton Forge for what it is. So now I have some homework for you all. Over the next month, just be thinking about a couple things before Aaron comes back and presents. What do you love about Clifton Forge? What do you want Clifton Forge to be known for? And how can a logo and a branding message be able to illustrate both of these? Next, to brag about Aaron a little bit, David's going to share a few of his recent branding efforts.
Thanks, Maria. Thank you very much. So, as Maria said, you're right. We've been working with Aaron since, I believe, about 2006, so almost 20 years now. And I believe Maria brought 3 examples of some of the work that he's done, just to give you an example from other local places. And one of them where Aaron worked with was Town of Bedford. And you know, you really try to learn about the community, learn what are its unique assets. So what do people know Bedford for? Well, the Bedford Boys, right? Tremendous history, especially with World War II and especially with D-Day. And so you'll see that he took the original logo, which you see up here in green, and sort of transformed it into the new logo that you see over there on the left, which has the medal. You know, the medal, it's like a medal on a military uniform over the O. The other thing that Bedford is tied to, of course, was Jefferson's retirement home, right there, Poplar Forest, right? And so, life, liberty, happiness, you know, the guy that wrote those lines, he lived in Bedford the last years of his life. So that came into it. So really, Aaron kind of in this, and you can see how it's extended into, you know, Veteran Bedford, these banners that might be there, or way over there on the right, you know, pursue your happiness with the arts, and different things that Bedford might extend this brand into. And so, you know, you can see how this is really drawing from the strings of what Bedford's about and putting that out there as part of their brand. And so as another example, next slide, this is Damascus, Virginia. And you know, what do you know of Damascus? It's Trail Town, USA, right? The Appalachian Trail goes through there, the Virginia Creeper Trail. And it's really, it's interesting, 20 years ago, Damascus had 2 factories and no place to stay. Now it has about 25 places to stay. It doesn't have any factories. But the economy has completely transformed into this great outdoors economy. And so everything in Damascus, you know, you see the compass rose up here as part of their logo, you know, outdoor orienting. And you see a lot of the typeface that works with, and the seals that work with the Appalachian Trail typeface and seals. So you can start to see how you can extend this brand into you know, welcome to Damascus signs, or even, you know, magazine ads, things like that. So you see how that's very different from Bedford, you know, which has the military and the sort of all-American background. This is all about getting into the great outdoors. I believe there's a third one that we have. Oh yeah, one that we're currently working on in the city of Martinsville. And incidentally, Jim, the Winn-Dixie that you showed is along Fayette Street. That's right. That's just kind of like a happy accident. But right now we're working on Fayette Street. And Fayette Street was the African American district, African American business district in Martinsville. And it was in the Green Book, you know, the Green Book where you've probably seen the movie, The Green Book, traveling across the United States, especially for African Americans. And so there was an old hotel called Paradise Hotel that was along Fayette Street. This was Paradise Trail is now using their old sign. But the lettering, the green color, etc., comes from the historic references from the Green Book, and Fayette Forward comes from the logo of the bank that used to be along Fayette Street. And so you can start to see some of these banners and some of the different forms, even this gateway arch under the railroad into Fayette Street, modeled on that, especially that African American history. It was a very, very positive history for most of Fayette Street. So these are just three examples of three towns that are in Virginia, and just how that brand can start to work once you really find your identity and work it into a series of things that represent you. So Maria, I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah. So just stay tuned for next month. February 12th, we'll be here again. Aaron will be presenting his full presentation to you all. Just be thinking about any questions you might have and ideas that you might have. Thank you all.
I know it seems like we've been talking about branding forever, but it is not something you want to rush into. You want to take your time and figure out your identity. Chuck, where's Chuck? Okay, he's right here. This next speaker needs no introduction.
Jason, where's Jason? Come on up, Jason. My report tonight is going to be very, very brief. I know I promise that every month, and I let you down every month on that promise, but tonight there's been already so much great information to be shared, and we have some additional great information to share. Basically, everything we've got going on in the town at this time is status quo. Both water line projects are well underway and on schedule and moving forward as hoped, even with the weather delays, which means if they're on time and the West Ridgeway Street water line is on time, then we're still on track to be able to complete the paving of West Ridgeway Street in early spring. We awarded that contract for the paving yesterday, so we will be one of the first paving jobs of the season, starting at Roxbury Street, going all the way to the town limits at the bridge in front of Sky Hill. So we're on track with all of that. We're still in negotiations with CSX on the Amtrak station and Welcome Center property down by the Historic Society Park, and hopefully we'll get some closure on that pretty soon. Keep you posted. And I know that I told you last month or at the council meeting that we had signed a contract to make a huge upgrade to our computer software at Town Hall, and I just wanted to let everybody know that that process has started. They have started data gathering and compiling information so that when they get ready to start converting us over, they will do that. It is still a 12 to 15 month process, and I think that if you talk to anybody at Allegheny County or the city of Covington who's just recently gone through that, they will tell you what a tremendous amount of work this is, and it's going to put a lot of extra work on the finance department and Wendy, but they're up to the challenge and they're ready to move it forward. And once we get this in place and set up, the residents and the customers will have so much more access and so much more availability to view their accounts, pay their bills, and take care of all their town business online. And it'll be a work in progress, and we'll keep you posted on that as the upgrades occur. Are you introducing or am I introducing?
You're introduced.
I'm introducing. So I want to introduce you to, most of you know Jason Helmenthaler, local fella, has invested in our town, bought one of the most prominent buildings in our town to make a tremendous difference to the town. And he's going to share some of his vision with you tonight, his and his wife's vision for what we affectionately call the red gas station across town on the corner. Jason.
thanks for having me here, and also I'd just like to, can everybody hear me? Echo the sentiments earlier about how wonderful it is to see a community do something like this, and it doesn't surprise me when Chuck told me to come down that it would be well attended. Clifton Forge has always been one of those towns that have great pride and community involvement, so I'm not as surprised to see as many people here as there is. So thanks for having me. So I am, if you ask my wife, and thank goodness she's not here, she would probably tell you I'm one of the more impulsive buyers that you will ever meet. So I bought, this is a true story, I bought a lake house without her ever seeing it, and I'm still married, so it worked out. It was okay. So what I did was I saw that this building was going to become available, and I have always, of course, I'm in mortgage lending. I've been with Alcoa for 20 years, but my dad and mom owned Country Garden Florist for a long time, and so I grew up in the family of self-employed workers and own your own business. So I've always had that itch, if you would. So through my travels, one of my favorite things to do is either eat or enjoy something to drink or something outside. And that is one of the few things that we really don't have a lot of that in our area. So when that building came available that Chuck is referencing, I had an idea. My dad, he had two things he loved to do, and I'm still kind of between the two. Originally it was presented as we were going to do an old style ice cream parlor where we would fling, we're going to keep the garage bay doors, those will open, there will be plenty outdoor seating, live music, but really my wife, her blessing for this came for one reason. We want to provide something in Clifton Forge or in Allegheny County that we can make affordable for pretty much everyone. My wife was a single mom for the first 9 years that she had Sean, and then when we got married, it really helped her when it became a two-income family. But for 9 years, she struggled as a single mom, and a lot of times, you know, when the kids would go get ice cream, and she just wouldn't be able to do it because she couldn't afford to do that with being a single mom and single income. And so her blessing behind all this was we make it affordable. So that is the plan. There's some of the pictures, and I've had these renderings done through another local person. So that's kind of the concept. So we don't want to oversaturate the area with ice cream parlors, and so we're still thinking about that. So plan B may be a hamburger hot dog establishment that there's a place, I don't know if anybody's been to Myrtle Beach, but there's a place down there called Hamburger Joe's. My dad loved it. We would go to the beach, and if it was his way, he'd eat there all 7 days. And I keep referencing my dad because the plan, whichever way we go, it's going to be called Clyde's, because I want to honor his honor. And hold with me for a second. So that's what we'll do. We'll name Clyde's. And one thing the reason I want to do that also, he's got some grandkids coming up through that need somewhere to work. So that was another reason I wanted to do it. So it's going to, I've already started gutting it. It will be fixed very soon. It's going to look very similar to, as you see, if we go the ice cream route, it's going to look very similar to what you see here. And if we go the hamburger route, it'll look a little bit different. So you've kind of always, if I'm going to use a sports term here, you've got to be able to call an audible. Sometimes what I want to do is make sure that we don't oversaturate a small community with too much of the same product, because we want to see multiple businesses in the area. And so to be determined which way we go. When these slides were prepared, it was going to be definitely an ice cream shop, but since then we've had a couple of those open in the area, so my wife and I are still kicking around the idea and possibly making an audible call to a hamburger hot dog establishment, very basic menu, But either way it's going to go, I can promise you it'll be very affordable, and it will be outdoor seating, and you're going to see an eyesore in Clifton Forge for a while that we're going to just basically rejuvenate and put some life into. And I hope to see many of you guys enjoying whatever we offer there outside, fellowshipping and having a good time. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer. Those that now, if you have them, Chuck, I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Consider having coffee.
Well, you know, we're also, it would probably be breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Somebody has told me that we probably need a breakfast. Then the Dairy Queen no longer serving breakfast, so it would be something along those lines. So I'm in the process of trying to learn, you know, potentially running a small restaurant, because I'm not getting out of the mortgage business, but although these rates will make you think about it. But so breakfast is definitely on the plan as well, and you know, coffee obviously. But you know, we wouldn't be a specialized coffee shop, but just somewhere where people can come and have a coffee outside and enjoy, you know, catching up.
I just want to say thank you.
My dad used to own the Leggett's building, and if you know anything about my dad, he did not want to ever sell anything. Even when Country Garden Florist wasn't going to be there anymore, and when it was going to transfer, you know, he wanted to do it without selling the building. And you know, I had explained to him, you can't do that. And Mr. Graham knows a little bit about how hard it is to convince my dad into selling something. He sold probably his last, you know, one of his last things that he loved the most was his land in Lowmore, and he sold that to Emily. And you know, I think if it was anybody other than Emily, my dad would maybe try to find a way to get it back. But he was so happy that, you know, he used to coach her in sports that she bought it, so that meant a lot. So yes.
Jason, what's an estimated time of opening?
Well.
We won't hold to just
Next month.
Well, so I'm at the mercy of contractors. Does anybody kind of know what that feels like? The good thing is I've done a lot to my house, and I've spent a lot of money with a contractor that I feel like he's starting to make plans. So another thing that kind of gets the hurdle is for it to be an ice cream parlor, the existing building is probably enough. If we're going to go the restaurant style of things, you know, kitchen space is going to eat up so much of the inside that, you know, because we want to still have some indoor seating. So we're still trying to figure that part out. So we're doing measurements and learning all that. So the transformation of the building will start probably as soon as we get the snow off the ground. I know my nephews have already started gutting it. I don't know if you've probably seen them working there. So it's pretty much been gutted. Now we actually have to put a roof on it. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's actually no roof on the building. So we've got to get it under roof, and then the contractor, and I plan on using Matt Westfall. I don't know if anybody, he does great work. He's done a lot of stuff for me. I converted a barn in my house into I call it my man barn. It's a barn that used to have horses and cows in it that now has a golf simulator, a TV. So it's unbelievable what he can do and the vision he has. So I imagine it's going to look a lot like what you see. So it's going to be really nice. I can promise you that.
How about that? There's only one problem, Jason.
Yes, sir.
It's located in too close a proximity to my desk. You'll probably have to borrow me from the property.
Well, that's I've lost about 100 and some pounds, and my wife asked me why I want to do an ice cream shop. So I'm hoping. I told her I ain't gonna put it back on.
So one last thing to share with you tonight. You've heard so much from three different people, three different groups about some beautification projects and beautiful future for things in Clifton Forge. I want to take a minute, and Gail asked me to take a minute, to share with you some of the things that we already have in Clifton Forge that are beautiful. First thing is the murals that Kristen and Ron have had painted on the Five Sides building. Great enhancement to the area. I've heard nothing but compliments from people as they come through town, and just really want to thank the McConnells for their investment and drive to improve Clifton Forge. Century Trail. Many of you know 2 years ago, you only had the asphalt path to walk on. The growth and underbrush and overgrowth had grown right up to the asphalt. Public Works went in, cleaned it up. Last year we started a winter illumination scene with a grant from the Allegheny Foundation. This year we added to it. We added the decorations on this big sycamore to help light the path. We added the pathway lights. And our plan is to make an addition to it every year. And I wasn't there, I didn't see this, but it came to me on good authority that on Christmas Eve night, there were over 100 people walking on the trail. So, pretty amazing. And lastly, you know these signs, you recognize these signs, and you've heard us talk about the wayfinding signs, phase 3 of the sign project that is spearheaded and managed by the Allegheny Highlands Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. Well, phase 3 of the project are the wayfinding signs. These are the signs that are going to be placed all around town like you see right here, directing you to all of our amenities. These are at the manufacturer as we speak. They will be delivered and erected by the manufacturing company in town. If you see the marks, the numbers on the sidewalks downtown, that's where those signs are going, and they will direct you to parking, to the theater, to the amphitheater, to the Century Trail, to the library, all of Washington Park, the dog park, all of the amenities and things that we have to share in our town. These will guide you to it. And you know, we had budgeted, the town had budgeted $35,000 to pay for our portion of phase 3. Main Street applied for and received a grant, a community development grant, for an additional $15,000 to help defray that cost. But since we had already budgeted our $35,000, very, very appreciatively the $15,000 grant, and we upped our order from $35,000 to $50,000 worth of signs. So they will be going in within probably, Josh, what's the time frame on those? He's gone. So I would say by March, we'll see them starting to go in. And I think that's the last slide, isn't it, Caleb? Yep. February 12th. Thank y'all.
We want to thank you all for coming out. Remember that Jim and maybe Jason are going to be available for questions. Come back and see us Wednesday, February 12th for our next community gathering. And I want to remind everyone, shop local.
Yeah.